right, with my brother Michael Fowler. It's been some years, huh?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Good to talk to you again. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, man. In beautiful Hawaii now.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
our last call, you were on the North Shore. Are you still in the North Shore area? Your
Yeah,
school?
so actually live is on the mountain, not so it's not it's more in the center of the island, and luckily I get to overlook most of it. But the gym itself is on the North Shore. So we just and the Wi-Fi here is much better than the signal on the mountain.
Nice, man. Nice. We're great to see you, man. Yeah, like you're saying, last time we saw each other was in Maryland, but I think I've probably seen you a lot of tournaments in between, in the past.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I feel like I don't know, it's like almost it's like a lifetime ago.
Right? You're saying you were celebrating 10 years. 10 years of your
Yeah, we
gym.
just made 10 years for the gym. So it was a little weird to go through during the COVID and everything being locked down. But it was a weird 10-year anniversary. Like it was like cool, but still kind of like, where's everybody? And then but no, we're still still running classes, still keeping things going.
Kids, adults. Do the kids have school right now in Hawaii?
No, because I can hear one running back and forth above me. There's a church right next door to us that we share the room with, share the part. It's actually the Haleiwa post office. So we all part of one building. And so I can definitely hear there's some, I'm sure Sunday school is getting ready to happen over there. So, but yeah, our program at this gym has 4-year-olds is the youngest class, like 4 to 6 years old. And then we have a 7 to 12-year-old class. And then it's every once in a while, depending on how the flow goes, we'll have like the teenagers, but we've seen that's the kind of the year that especially here where they're more out, they're surfing, they're doing, they're skateboarding, they get into other activities. So that's kind of the time where we see less of the kids as they get to that age. But then as they get back to young adults, we have some that come back and it's just, whoa, when I saw you last, you were 10, now you're 18 and you're way taller than me. So it's pretty cool to see the transition of everyone.
That's interesting. The different areas in the world, right? And
yeah,
style things that people do.
Yeah, and especially I this is what I was saying earlier before the signal got all mixed up. But sometimes I think people get the wrong idea of Hawaii. I think it's a good mix. So, as far as like if you're here, you in essence you've made it, and it's not an easy place to make it. Like it's expensive. It's of course the way to make it is to integrate yourself into the community and find the ways, around the traditional. If you just come in and try to play it by the rules, as far as like, okay, I'm going to go just rent a place, I'm not going to know anybody and ask anything, and I'm just going to go with whatever I see on the internet, you're going to end up paying like top dollar for everything, and you're just going to go broke. And that's usually what we see happen to a lot of people that come out here, especially depending on the area they're in. And so the side we're on of the island is very country. So we got a lot of, you can see within the community here that, the money is in the land, not necessarily like, driving, living in the Waikiki area, having that type of a home. Like it's a lot of people here have, there'll be 1 or 2 homes on the property and a lot of Airbnb, just because it's so expensive to make it. Everybody, no matter what way you can try to do it, you got to grind to make it here. But if you can make it, it's just a beautiful lifestyle. It's wonderful.
You got to be connected to the communities, we're saying, for it to make
it
work.
You can't come selfish. You just can't come in and think, oh, I want to live in Hawaii. And I'm not, you've got to give back, because, it's just the community won't support you, not in a bad way, but you're just not going to have that extra help that you're going to need to really stay, and you just see it. You can kind of get, like, when you see people move in, you get the vibe of how they interact with everyone. You're like, oh, I wonder how long they're going to make it. And then usually about like 2 years or so is a good average. And then it's like, okay, they, didn't work out. And so it's because you can only imagine how many people come through the gym and then they're like, I want to move there, I want to do this. And it's like, man, it's a great idea, but it's not just something you could pick up and drop and do, because I would say the prices of living are, I don't know how San Francisco is, but I'm sure it's getting nuts. It's, we're around that area. I think we have the highest gas prices in the country. It's and so it gets nuts. So I think you get all kinds here. So it's
interesting.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, like the big cities, right? Like, yeah, I live in LA now. I used to live in New Mexico, and just the amount of people here, but in the bigger cities like New York probably too, and everybody, there's so many people, but everybody kind of does their own thing, right? They're not really interconnected with the community, but over there you have to be, or else things don't work. You know, spend a lot more money than you need to.
For sure, yeah, and not even just spending money, just the the quality of life, just
Yeah.
having the right people around you and like making this place worth it, like understanding why you moved here. Because sometimes you'll sit in traffic and you're just like when I used to live at a different area, right down, I was on the North Shore. My gym is less than 7 miles from my house, and it would take me an hour and a half, 45 minutes. Like, what in the world? Like, it was just, I'm just sitting in traffic, like, and then I'd get a moped to bypass it. But then, I'm thinking like, how much time am I just sitting in traffic here? Like, and it's just where you live and what you're doing. Like, it can really make or break your, in essence, on this side over here, and depending on where you work, you wouldn't even ever experience that. You wouldn't even know there's traffic. And so because there's only one road that goes around our side of the island, and it's 2 lanes and 35 miles an hour for the most part. So once you get to the highway, of course you can start moving along, but like I said, everyone, you get to see how far apart some things are when you're here, as far as comparatively.
That's amazing, man. Well, it seems to me like you're in the right place, because Los Angeles right now, it's rough. San Francisco, it's rough right now, with all the things going on.
Trips back home there to visit, just because everything's locked down right now. Yeah,
everything's locked down. Yeah, so we're hanging in there, but seems like Hawaii is isolated in a way, right? So it's an island. So
well, I would say we don't get the effect of it's a warmer climate. We don't see too much of the effect of it, as far as besides within the actual mandates and the businesses closing down. That stuff's super frustrating, but it doesn't make any sense here. Like, I mean, that we had lockdowns where you couldn't take it's like if you were on the beach with one other person, like your kid, you couldn't sit there and hang out. Like, you had to be exercising by yourself. Like, if you're gonna, or you had to be in the water. Like, you couldn't. It's like there was just so many backwards rules. Like, this makes no sense. How you why not to go to the beach? Like, that's the one outlet we do have, and I don't want to hang out next to people 6 feet in distance on the beach to begin with. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, these are all, it was really weird. And that, I mean, they still have their own some of the rules. Like, right now, one of the islands, doesn't matter if you've had a COVID test or not, you fly in, you are there for 14 days. It's Oahu's a little bit more open. I think because of tourists and whatnot, they keep that flow going a little easier. But even here, if we leave to go to the mainland and come back, if we don't get a COVID test by one of their trusted partners, it's 14-day quarantine, and which basically just stay at home. But not here it's like, no, I'm gonna go to the beach and then go back and forth. But
wonder who enforces the beach people going to the beach.
Oh no, they have police officers on 4-wheelers patrolling. It's like, it's hard because it's like how far do these guys want to have common sense? Like, no, you don't need to patrolling the beach, tell people they can't go on the beach. But then I get it, it's your job, you don't want to lose that either. So it was just rough. Plus, I don't like the people who get to keep their paycheck telling me I don't get to have one.
Right.
Like, that is
must be nice to have a job, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what I mean. We weren't able to, we couldn't afford to shut down. In the beginning, we took it serious and we closed the gym for in April, right when everything kind of got nuts, just because we didn't know what was going on. But then by the end of April, it's like, our rent still showed up, and got, of course it made a very different dynamic switch in the student base. You can see, different lifestyles allowing who to make it and who felt comfortable. And it's definitely, it's put some stress on, the gym as a whole, as far as maintaining, but nothing that, never to the point where oh no, we might lose the gym. It was just like, man, this is sad. Where's everybody at?
I know. Some people we don't get to see anymore, right?
Yeah, no, totally.
So family, close people, right? For whatever reason. So yeah, it's just adjusting. Man, let's go back in time. You used to wrestle. I was looking at your bio. I used to wrestle growing up, right? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Virginia Beach. I was actually sitting in my 7th grade math class. And her name was Mrs. Womack. And I remember she asked me, she's like, I guess her boys wrestled. And she was like, why didn't you wrestle? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know how to wrestle. I don't know anything I don't play sports. And she's like, well, next year you should try out. So 8th grade, I tried out for the wrestling. they just put me up against another kid, and he broke my collar. He threw me and broke my collarbone in like the first throw ever. I was like, I don't like wrestling at all. And so ninth grade, I tried again, and the coach didn't make any cuts. He didn't believe in making cuts. He's like, you'll cut yourself if that's the case. And plus, he liked having a lot of bodies for everybody to wrestle. And I ended up on varsity my first year, like my freshman year, but I lost every single match. Like, I sucked. I just was the only one that could fit that weight class. And then 10th grade, hated it. Didn't like what happened, so I didn't wrestle. 11th grade, tried it again. Did okay, but I still never had a passion for it. I quit. I think because I would do like the preseason stuff and have a really good time, but I'd already be weight cutting a little bit. And then by the time the season started, I'd already been like 2-3 months in the weight cutting and just not happy. And then the only spot I could really fit in on my team was it was a really rough weight cut. And I did decent. Like I did, I think my senior year, even with all the quitting and not even staying in, I came out like 5th in the state in the beginning of the year, like as far as the pre rankings, but I didn't make it past a month in. After a month, I was just so over it. I just didn't enjoy it, but I would still show up to like the club we had in our high school, that for like everyone to show up to wrestle like certain nights of the week. And one guy who was a referee in that area brought his kid, and he was also a blue belt. And so he would take me every once in a while, like while we'd wrestle, and he'd put me in a paintbrush, or he'd put me in an arm lock, and didn't really pay too much attention to it. But one time he's like, man, I just graduated at this point, starting culinary school. And he's like, just come by the gym, come check it out. And on a Saturday, went and checked it out. And that was when I found out that wrestling was like the top portion, and the jiu-jitsu for me was like that other half, the bottom. And it just, now I loved it. I remember within a week, I think I paid for a whole year up front, and just was there as much as I could. I mean, I would show up at the gym, I was one of those guys who would show up as like on the off class times, just hoping somebody else might be there,
Yeah.
And so, but that was where I got my start. So I had a decent wrestling base. I don't have any accolades to prove it.
You had some years, yeah. Who did you start with, or who was the first coach, the gym that you joined up?
Gym was it's called Virginia Beach Academy of Martial Arts, and the owner of the gym wasn't necessarily the coach. His name was William Varner, and he had at one point one of Lloyd Irvin's purple belts, Ken Parham. He was teaching there, but and Ken was a purple belt. And right when Ken, I guess, had a switch in his job and couldn't really make the classes and teach anymore, I came in after that. And so when I showed up to the gym, it was ran by a blue belt named TC Bobbitt. And he would not run the classes, but he would help teach some things. And then there was one other blue belt. I think his name was Brian. I can't remember. But he was more of a Sambo guy. So we had like a little bit of a mix. So it was like we really were doing kind of like MMA with a gi on for the most part, because I had my first fight within like 3 weeks of signing up at the gym. And the owner was super nice guy, but he was also just trying to make a dollar and do his own thing. So I remember he brought me into the office like my second week there. He's like, hey, do you want to do Vale Tudo? And I'm like, sure, what is that? And he's like, you do whatever you want. He made it sound all cool. He's like, well, I just had a fighter drop out. You guys are the same size. And I need to, and I knew nothing. So they're trying to teach me how to strike the week of the fight. And it was just, I won really fast with a triangle, but it was just really bad. It was just, I had a false sense of who I was as a fighter at that point. I didn't have any real good MMA skills, I would say. And then my second fight, I won even uglier. Like, yeah, that one was bad too. And that was Brandon Vera's first fight. He joined the gym in between my first and second fight. So my second MMA fight back in 2001 was Brandon Vera's first. And I mean, he won very decisively, but it was just funny. You
fought Brandon Vera?
No, we were teammates. And
I
so
see.
card and he was on the card. And
I see. Yeah.
There was no fighting Brandon. He was still that big back then.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
I remember he laid on his back and he's like, Mikey, put me in an arm bar. And then he would just swing me over and smack me on the mat on the other side. And it was like, dude, you're just so mean.
Man, how did you end up at Lloyd's?
So one of the guys I really looked up to in the gym, his name was Alex Carlson. He was a military guy there, and he would kind of give us little whispers, like not really conversation, but he would talk about how he would drive up to Maryland, but enough just to not keep me interested in whatever he was saying. And one day he came into the gym, he's wearing a blue belt. And I'm like, where the hell did you get that? Like I'd only seen 1 or 2 blue belts at that time. I'd never seen anything else besides those 2 blue belts. And at this point, like, I didn't know you could get a belt. Like, I didn't know how they got theirs. I didn't know how this worked. Nobody told me. I just got a stripe every once in a while from one of the blue belts. And so I was like, how'd you do that? And he told me, he's like, oh, I go up to Lloyds. And so I'm like, you go with this guy and like get better and don't even tell me. And so I'm like, I'm going with you the next time you go. And so I went with him to go up to, drive. It was like 3.5 hour drive. Lloyd wasn't there. It was like, oh, finally get up there. And so met some of the guys, some of the purple belts. So I got to see purple belts for the first time at that trip. But it wasn't until later on, maybe like, I would say like maybe a month or so later, I met Lloyd at a local tournament in Virginia. And I think they had drove all night because they just came from a Naga or something like that up in Jersey. And so he was just crashed out the whole time. But I remember telling him there that I was like, oh, I'm going to come, check you out. I told him I went by the gym. And so he sent me a message like a week or so later. He's like, you said you were coming. Where are you? And I was like, oh. And so I started making the trip a little bit more regular. So the second or third time that I like came up there by myself, Lloyd gave me my blue belt. And that was February 2nd, 2002. February 2nd, 2002. And within the next month, I figured out a way to sign myself out of college, quit my job. I was moving up to Maryland to live there full time.
2002, huh? And so you said you went to culinary school after high school?
Yeah, so I had in culinary school or in high school, I was taking a culinary school just to fill up my senior schedule, just because I'd already cooked in restaurants. My mom was very adamant about teaching me to cook when I was younger, so I already had, that was why I was doing it. And so I had entered a culinary competition and won like 10 grand towards the school. And so I was in they broke it up into 3 semesters. So I had the trimester of cooking and academics. And the 2 cooking ones I aced 4.0 and above, just demolished those classes. I just love cooking so much. The work wasn't hard. It was just putting it in writing now. And then when I was doing the academic part, they kept talking about being in a restaurant and their ideal lifestyle and your job and all this. And I was like, I had already started doing jujitsu. I already fought at this point, and I was, like 3 or 4 months in, and like I knew that I didn't want to be in a kitchen. I love cooking, but not in a kitchen, not full time, restaurant work. So I raised my hand. I was like, what if you don't want to be in a kitchen? And she's like, well, maybe you should go to a different school. I was like, oh, okay, all right. And so I went and signed myself out, and she said it kind of rough, but it was very right. It wasn't, so I signed myself out of college, and that was right in that transition. I'd say that was around March or so of 2002. And then like literally the following Monday, packed some bags and drove up to Maryland and started, Lloyd had agreed. It was right before Pan Am, the 2002 Pan Ams in Florida, I think. And
it was in Orlando still.
Yeah, and Lloyd had said, I could stay at his house, like, he had a basement, the furnished basement I could stay in while after Pan Am's, figure out your own place. And so I moved up there, and in March of 2002, and just right into it. That was full time at the gym. He had me teaching wrestling to the kids, the after school program, and helping with all that. And ended up working the summer camp and all those. At the same time, taking classes not necessarily taking classes, but you were always learning marketing things. Like he was always having those audio tapes on, or those conversations. Plus he would train us to answer the phones, and we would take classes on how to teach, how to handle situations within the gym. The skills that allowed me to have my gym here. Definitely gave me all the tools to, he wanted to make sure if anybody didn't show up, you could handle any position, whether it would be answering the phones or teaching boxing class. So we had to do everything. And so, really good foundation for, at least, like I said, running my own gym, future wise.
Yeah. I remember, because I remember I did a tour with you because I was thinking about doing after school pickup program. Lloyd was always so kind to me and let me come. And I stayed with you guys, with you and Master Donnie in your apartment. Yeah. Time and it's interesting times,
Yeah, that's right. That was the 2020 Brooks what do you call it, the Brooks Drive in DC. Right outside of.
So yeah, just, it was a different time than it is now, right? Like everything was like, it's like that very Fight Clubby, but
Yeah,
Lloyd always had like an amazing kids program, from, I don't know, from as long as I can remember, and doing good
yeah,
work in the community. But it was like Fight Club, like the jiu-jitsu scene, right? The Brazilian jiu-jitsu scene.
yeah.
Now,
It was always very gym versus gym. Yeah, very
right,
much
right.
so.
Now it's more like professional, right? So people are kind of, that's what they're coming up as, right? They see people answering the phone kind of correctly. Well, not every place, but a lot of places now you have to,
I
right?
see a lot more accepted to just train at other places with no with less tension being given, or less like resistance. Like, back in the day, like, I remember asking Lloyd to go train at another gym one time. I actually wanted to go train at Yamasaki Academy, who we had the biggest beef with, as far as like that was the rivalry gym. And I wanted to go train because they had some good guys with it. And I remember him like, shut up. No, you know what I mean? Just chastising me for wanting to go do it. And like, but now I feel like, a lot of people feel more comfortable, having that neutral open mat ground where people can meet up. And even my gym is open doors. Like I have people that train. I don't, I'm not gonna make you change. If you still want to stay at your other gym, go stay at your other. I mean, you're more
Yeah,
than welcome
yeah,
to pop.
yeah, yeah. It's people's own free will, right? Where they feel comfortable,
Yeah,
where they feel right,
yeah. The
Um,
people who want to be with you will stay with you. So
yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's so interesting. And so, how did it turn into becoming like a world class? Was that always like the theme of like, I'm going to be a world champion? Like, what was because you're one of the fastest black belts. You got your black belt, and I remember Lloyd was doing the grapplers blueprint. Was it the
yep.
grapplers blueprint?
Grappling blueprint. He had started. He was doing the grappling game plan came out
Game plan.
first, and then the
Game plan.
I think I don't know if the grappling blueprint ever actually fully materialized, because I remember there was so many hiccups with that. Like I remember like one of the software companies he had like got switched, and projects started after a certain date were canceled. Like he had a lot of things, but the grappling game plan came out really good. And I would say like, um, because I was forced to go through it, as far as like all the method, like in essence, like I don't think I I'm trying to think of the best way to put this, because I don't know how to say it. I feel like I got my black belt in 3.5 years because it sounded like a good idea. Like it wasn't like I had this dream of achieving the black belt and like I no, it's like, oh, BJ Penn did it in 3.5. No, I'll do it in 3.5. And okay,
Yeah.
well, what do I got? I can follow orders really well. You tell me what to do, I'm gonna do it. And I think, not in a bad way, Lloyd saw that. I was a very, any job he told me to do, I would do very hard, work very hard to make sure it was done. Like I enjoyed the servitude, in essence. Like it was whatever you need me to do. Not only am I going to do it, but I'm going to be the best you've ever seen that is done at it. And jiu-jitsu, I feel like part of me always wanted a little, like, even though we never voiced it at the times as much. I mean, I started to at purple belt as I got more into it. But the thing where I think Lloyd and I differed is like I went straight out of high school into college, like not a real college, like culinary school. I still stayed at home, but I was fully into training. But I, in essence, went straight from high school to full time into a gym. And then I always had that feeling in the back of my head, like there's more to life than being inside this gym and just doing jujitsu all day. Like I love it, but I mean, there's more to it. And I let Lloyd know, dude, I'm not happy here, dude. I love everyone. I love the kids. Like I feel compelled to have to stay here at times. Like I shouldn't have to feel like I have to stay here. I was like, should I go back to college? Like we had like some talks about what should I do next? Because like jujitsu was a passion, but it was never like I had a desire to win because it was the thing of that moment, but it started to outweigh. And then to be honest, like the biasness, the just getting cheated over and over and over in these high level competitions where things were just never in my control. It's like, what am I doing? Like, why? Like, really, the Daniel Moraes slam changed my whole perception of how I can even do a jiu-jitsu match. Like, that's why we got 3 referees now, is because of that.
Right.
And it's like, I could take care of my cardio, my training. Like, obviously, if I'm armbarring the previous 2-time world champion, I haven't even been black belt a year, I'm doing something right. And in my mind, I watch the video sometimes, just like show it to my students. It's like, when I teach the armbar, I teach you to hook the leg so you don't get slammed on your head. But in those rules, it said you can't get slammed. That's not legal. So you watch me in the video, let go of the leg and just and focus on the arm. And then that's right where the mistake, boom, then I get spiked. And so it's like, I don't care how hard you train. You can't prepare for that guy to cheat, whoever's your opponent. You can't prepare for the referee to cheat at the same time, whether willingly or even if he didn't notice it, at least try to correct it. You see something went wrong, figure out and listen to what's happening. Like, but man, I remember Lloyd went right up to Carlinhos right after it happened and told him, he's like, hey, watch the video. Tell me that ain't right. And Carlinhos is like, no, we cannot change anything. He's like, I'm not telling you to change anything. He's like, I'll give you $5,000 right now just to watch the video and say you are wrong. And they wouldn't do it. They would not review the tape. They wouldn't. They just in essence they DQ'd me. And not only did they DQ me, or I'm sorry, they not only they let him win and keep the match, they tried to disqualify me for causing a scene. And it's like, you're gonna yell at me after I'm the one who got spiked on my head. So it just really like, it's like, what am I doing? Like I was like, then that was really the deciding point. Like at that was like, not so much. I still love competition, but it just wasn't my focus. Focus on other things. Figure out what other parts. What else can life do? And that was when I moved out to Cali. Started traveling a little bit more. Went to Japan. Went to Guam for a bit. Just started going all over the place. And like, granted, I feel like if I wanted to stay like super hardcore into the competition scene, that wasn't a proper move. But to me, that wasn't the competition. This much of my jiu-jitsu career, there's this much jiu-jitsu career going on, and part of me is like, I would like to see, all of us that came up in this time frame, man, we're 50 and 60. Let's see who's still rolling. Let's see who took proper care of themselves. Let's see, you know what I mean? Like, not through anything negative, but let's see whose mindset was just to be a badass for 10 years and then fuck themselves up. Or like, I started thinking longevity a while back. You know what I mean? I started seeing the injuries. I started seeing guys who after jiu-jitsu, they couldn't do anything. They didn't have any other skills. There was if they didn't get a gym or a job teaching, they didn't have anything. And it's like, not going to be me. I'm going to have, and so I took the time. I opened a food truck. I did some other, tried some other business ventures, and the food truck was wonderful. Had a good time with it. Had the option to go into a restaurant. And it's like, at that point, I'm done with it. I sold the food truck, and it's like, I always, in mind, I sold it because I didn't want it to sit and not do anything. Because I was taking some time to do some, I moved to Texas during that time and was doing seminars, traveling around the mainland. And so I'd rather have somebody use it rather than just, I know, you hear? Please. Oh, sorry.
No problem. What year was that?
The kids up there, they got to calm down.
Yeah. What year was the Daniel Moraes slam? 2000.
That was 06. That was the World's of 06.
So it's like 4 years, pretty much. That's that. Yeah, that was a big deal. I remember that was crazy. I wasn't there at the time, but I was just remembering what you were telling me about how, like wondering what you're doing when you're like in the gym all day every day, and because I moved down to Brazil like in the like late 90s, right, and just kind of sold all my things and like fully committed. And I had a lot of those days, like, what am I doing here, And I'm sure.
You know what? I had the same. The thing is, but Lloyd didn't let me do it. I was ready to go the same route. And as far as my mentality, how I would have been gone. I would have been in Brazil and done the same thing. But I know now, looking back, Lloyd didn't want to lose a good worker. He was had very good father control over me. So it was probably a smarter decision. I probably would have been, like I said, I probably wouldn't have gotten the life skills that I got at the gym and going.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
I was just thinking too, like you're talking about assimilating with like in Hawaii, in your area and stuff, with the community and stuff. And like me moving to Brazil and like learning Portuguese and really like getting to know all the referees and stuff too, that has to help, And I was just thinking like, you coming from America with Lloyd and like Team America, definitely like puts you like in a deficit, right out of the gate. But then the Daniel Moraes thing, for people that don't know, right? Like you said, now we have 3 refs, right? In the black belt, the semifinals and finals.
Semifinals and finals now.
Semifinals and finals. We have 3 refs now in the IBJJF because of that match that you had with Daniel Moraes. You had him in an armbar. You know, he was about to tap. He picked you up pretty much and slammed you, right? And
Yeah.
not only did he win the match, but they disqualified you on top of it.
Well, they didn't do it on paper, but he was Caballino was the referee, and he was yelling for it, and so he tried to he snatched my ID out of my hand and tried to, when we, before actual IDs, we just had our license, and
Right, ID.
and for just being so, and then what burned me up even worse is, like, I went back to Brazil, of course, many times after that, and went there with JT only JT Tours, went there. Man, it must have been like 2010. This is only like 4 years after. I still know who you are, Caballino. He forgot who I was. He was talking to me like hey, just like, I'm like, dude, I do not want to talk to you. Like,
yeah, never forget that.
Yeah, like, for me, like, did you forget what you did to me, dude? Like, as far as just like, I don't hold a grudge against, but I definitely don't want to sit in conversation with you either.
Man, it's amazing, when I hear these stories and just all the stuff that, like, Lloyd and a lot of Americans, right, that had to go through to do jiu-jitsu, right? Brazilian jiu-jitsu, especially at that time, go down to Brazil, competing in the Lions Den, and really, it's like you had a lot of things going against you, like right out of the gate, right from
For sure.
Yeah.
But it made it what it was. It was, I wouldn't change a thing. It was awesome. It was exciting. It was
yeah, for sure. The matches, being in that Tijuca tennis club, like all the things,
The pigeons.
the pigeons, soccer chants, I mean, it was a special time, it's cool. It's cool. Like the Long Beach, right? The pyramid. It's cool. I think it's a great place for sure, but it's definitely different, right? Than from Brazil.
Don't have that feel, man. When the chants would be going with, like, you know what I mean? When there's people outside of the Tijuca, like, just peering in through the concrete, like, just that whole vibe. Nothing will. Yeah, those. I remember being there for, getting to see, like, the Jacare, and Hodger matches, and Tedede, and just, the Tedede versus who was it? Fabricio Verdun, when he entered the Absolute. Like, that was, man, wonderful. Just energy in those places.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And what Grapplers Quest? You came up through Grapplers Quest doing all. How many Grapplers Quests did you?
Oh man, I couldn't. I mean, if I kind of have, not all of them, but I've got like just all those medals stacked up. The Grapplers Quest, the Naga, all from, man. I think from 2001 I was competing in those, since, all the way up to even still, within the past few years. I think, Naga is they come out here maybe once or twice a year, or at least before COVID they did. And they still hold, it's awesome to see these competitions still going around. But yeah, the Grapplers Quest, those are some good memories too. Those are, they watching everybody come up, now that's, you can see how everybody's progressed and moved on. It was like getting to watch everybody's story unfold.
I remember you had flown out to LA for just one of the grappling games, whatever. They had a few different circuits, right? To compete with, I think Halleck was in the tournament. And so Lloyd probably heard that he's competing. Okay, we're going to fly Mike out there to LA.
And exactly what because I was actually feeling sick. And like, I think I got like a stomach bug or something, and just wasn't feeling good. And I told Lloyd, I let him know ahead of time before the tournament. And this was before we knew Halleck was going to enter the Absolute. It was still speculated. And so I won my division, and I told him I really didn't feel good, so I wasn't going to enter the Absolute. And then we found out Halleck was going to be in it. It's like, no, you got to stay. So I still went in, and obviously I wasn't feeling so bad where I couldn't compete, but it was, I didn't say no to a lot of competition back then. So I know I wasn't going to lose that chance. I don't feel that bad, but it was a good match. That one I use as part of my teaching now, as far as like, and just some of the transitions that happened during that match have really stuck out, as far as like way to properly do things. And, man, Halleck was a good match, man. He had really good armbar attempts in that one. And it was just, I won't forget that one. That was a good one.
Yeah. It's what was your schedule like? Your competition schedule like?
Oh, hectic. I think
how many times a month or a week? Like what was a typical more?
I remember during the purple belt year, at one point, from, if you're counting purple belt or the world championships, I think 2004, because there was the Copa do Mundo that was before that. Remember, they'd always have like a week at the same time frame. So I think I did Copa do Mundo, and then I did the regular Mundial, and then come back to America, did like Naga Battle of the Beach. But in that time frame, I remember just alone, 10 weeks, 9 tournaments. So I would compete almost, if there's a tournament available, I would pretty much be there. And but 2004 really, like, I would say there was, in that year alone, like 20 something tournaments alone. And so it was, I remember, do you know Roddy Ferguson? Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
And so I remember Roddy sat me down one time, and he kind of told me to slow my roll a little bit. He's like, you can't keep that up. You know what I mean? Like, you know, something bad, you're going to hurt yourself. So, you know, you can't keep up that high level of training, that many competitions that long. Like, don't, you know, and then, but it just kind of worked out naturally. Like, I had to hit it when the iron was hot. Like, when there was purple belts around, we had to fight. Like, you knew it coming up in America. Like, how many, you know, in 2002, 2003, 2004, how many blue, purple, brown, like, you know, that every time you got a belt, you got less people to fight. Like, that's all that happened.
Right.
And, you know, and so by the time, even here in Hawaii is the same. Like, I've watched, you know, you know, as soon as everybody gets black belt, like, really, they don't compete out here a lot. Like, some of them do, but not on island. And it's like, you know, it's really kind of sad. Like, you know, it's like, I think the students would feel more comfortable watching you compete and lose and take it graciously than just, you know, never stepping off that. And granted, I guess you get to an age where it's not that important to you, whatever you feel, but it's sad. There shouldn't be so many black belts that there are, and having such a hard times of, you know, getting to compete. Not in this day and age. Right. I've already not go through that again. But granted, for me, competition right now is not my focus. Still want to do it. Just when it comes around, it's around, but I'm not seeking it out.
Yeah. How did you meet Ensign Inouye?
Met Ensign when I had moved to Guam. I had, you know, through the connection that they had there with the gym, and then really got to spend time with him walking across Japan when he was raising awareness for the tsunami victims in Tohoku. And I jumped in on that walk around Tokyo, and he was awesome. He really, you know, especially for me at that time, I was going through my own things, and he was a really good, you know, I guess he was very pivotal in kind of steering me where I should try to find my, you know, where I should try to find my healing, my happiness at that point. And so he was really, like, he was the, you know, when I remember we were walking, and he said, on that, you know, on the walk he did was from Hokkaido to Kyushu, which is, oh man, I don't know, like 1,300 miles. It's nuts. And I jumped in a little under the halfway mark. So I got just over halfway with him. And, you know, as far as like the walk, I think I did like 800 something miles. And, but during that walk, it was fun because, like, no matter how hard it was, we had people, you know, there was like interaction. We could, like, you know, talk to each other. And he's like, if you want real change, he's like, go do like, the longest pilgrimage in the world is called the Shikoku pilgrimage. And it's on this island of Shikoku in Japan. And you go around and visit. There's different ways to do it. There's 88 main temples. It's on like a 700 and something mile path. And then there's these other temples. So you can do 108, which is all these, you know, these sacred numbers. And you can do the 108, which is 880 miles. So I did that one, and I did it by myself. And that's what he, you know, he's like, if you want to begin that path of healing. And you know what I mean? Now it's funny because I hiked 880 miles in 43 days, you know, broke my feet, stress fractures, the whole, and you know, it was such an amazing experience seeing all those temples, seeing these mountains, climbing so many mountains, you know, running into times where, you know, I had to use like the survival straw in a stream, like nothing gross, but you know what I mean? Like where I didn't have water, trying to find a place to stay before storms hit. And, you know, you just end up finding like a little prayer shack out in the middle of the woods, you know, just anything you could just find you know, for shelter. And then sometimes running into the nicest setting where you can imagine, where there's a bathhouse and, you know, you're eating barbecue, and it's like, wow, like, you know, what luck, you know, to run into this person on this day.
I was following you guys, you know, so I think it was Ensign, and then you, and just like, the you know, the toenails coming off, just everything. That was probably the minimal thing, you know, just what to eat. Like, so what were the rules? You basically walked up and down Japan, all the way up to Japan.
actually had set the rules in place for the other one, and I'm probably missing some, but what he had put was like, because the people of Tohoku, they were displaced. And so imagine you're 60 something years old, you and your wife, and you're paying a mortgage on your house. Tsunami hits, wipes out everything. You still owe your mortgage. Don't matter if a house ain't there no more, you still owe it. So does your neighbor, so does the next neighbor. So all these communities got displaced where like now they owe money in essence, but what are you going to do? Like they don't even have money to rebuild. Like everything's gone. Like, so they don't get anything unless something is given to them, like, so when people bring, the water and food and whatnot. And I guess, I don't know what the status is right now. I'm sure there's plenty of people still displaced. Like, I don't think that, I don't know how you recover from having like whole towns wiped away, seeing the line of the water on the mountain, like the canyon, like, like, wow, like that's gnarly. Like that was where the water was. And so since they got nothing, his goal was when he's walking down, across Japan, unless something is offered to him, he can't have it. So granted, Ensign's popularity, there's times where it was like slim, but it was never bad. You know what I mean? The hardest part was the actual physical act of getting from place to place and walking and carrying things. A lot of times, like, it was like I said, the times we'd camp out at like bus stops were fun because it was with it was like a few of us. It was like 2 or 3, depending, depending on the time, or sometimes 4 of us, and or even 5. Like, have a group sometimes walk with
some of the guys that walked with you guys.
Well, Ensign and Roman De La Cruz were the 2 main guys. They walked the whole thing. They did it. That was when Ensign first brought it up. It was like I was like, oh, that's cool. And Roman's like, I'll do it. And I was like, man, I'd love to do it, but I'm just not in the place to do it. Like I can't. How do you take off that much time and do it? Like it didn't. And then whenever I found my time, it's like, oh, you find the time. And so I jumped in, and then another guy, Tone Anderson, jumped in for like a few weeks. And then there was just random people like, Megumi Fuji, Shinji Sasaki came out and checked us out. Like, some famous Japanese fighters, other just one of the Guam boys named James, who lived in Nagoya. He's like, anybody that was in the area and knew Ensign or like was able to follow him, they would just come check us out. So it's like, I've made friends now from that walk that I still have to this day. Like some guys, like one guy, Aaron Ross, we met him in, through the walk, and he walked a little bit with us, and ended up like the next year I had Thanksgiving with him, in Japan. And then I see him, he teaches for Globetrotters. So it's just cool to see, like I've met, like I said, watching everybody's story unfold from the, as we go through it is really cool. I like, it's somehow jujitsu and related always keeps it like a tight knit, and you can kind of, it's kind of cool to keep track of, when people lately start doing, you see like they're upgrading. Like, you remember Big Mac?
Big Mac, yeah, of course.
Isn't he a politician now or something? Like I see on Facebook.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? But like, that's so rad. Like, what a change. Like that. Yeah. That guy just like freaking forearm choking me, lifting my butt up over my head to like, now that that's so cool to see. Just, what the next thing for some of these guys are, because it's like, jiu-jitsu can't be the only thing I see about you, that there's got to be more to you than that, Yeah. And so it's really cool is whenever these guys get out there and, you start seeing that other side.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys somebody had to offer you guys food to eat.
Yeah. So yeah, back to yeah, exactly. So one was, we couldn't stay anywhere unless someone offered a place to stay, couldn't eat anything unless somebody offered something to eat. Or what would happen is people would give donation, like, hey, this is $20 for you guys to eat. But like I said, Ensign was getting plenty enough to, in essence, to where I believe we could eat whatever we wanted the whole time. And then the money that was left over that was meant for us to eat, we just donated all. He just gave everything in the end that was extra. Like all we took was what we needed to eat and survive with. But like we didn't ever, like very randomly, unless someone specified, like we weren't just getting hotel every night. It was like somebody would be like, hey, this is hotel money for you guys. Like, woo, like then we'd get the hotel, we'd score one. But if somebody had given us cash for food, like we didn't save up a bunch of food money and start spending it on hotels or anything like that. Like we still had to rough it out and, go through the grind of, like I said, carrying all our stuff, trying to dodge the weather, having to deal with police a few times because, they're tripping out.
What did they tell you? or what did that tell you guys?
Well, we had like one instance where we were being followed by a guy. So there was a homeless guy who was on the side of the street. Ensign stops to talk to him. At the same time, another guy walks up and had gotten the homeless man some like clay to do some kind of artwork or something. And so as we start talking, like the homeless man just like, just super humble. He's just keeping to himself. He's just like, it's kind of like everything's happening around him. But the guy that came in was like, oh, you're like, realized Ensign's famous. Like, oh, let me take you guys to eat. And Ensign's like, unless you take him too, we're not going. And so we like, you could see the guy's face like, like, fine. So he brought the homeless guy with us to go eat, which was cool. And then was like, hey man, what do you want to drink? And like, asked him like, we're like, I'm doing my busted Japanese. I'm trying to talk to the homeless guy because you can tell he's just in a bad position. He don't look like he wasn't all dirty and grungy like you would think of normal homeless. Like you just see there's something happened. And the same guy that was like trying to, butt in was like, didn't want to get the guy a beer, didn't want to buy him. It like was just still shunning the homeless dude. And it was like, we just weren't feeling it. So Ensign kind of felt that and just started racking it up. No, get him another one. What else do you want? And just started all on other guys' dime just because, oh, now you're going to be addicted to this dude. We're going to be dicks back. And but the guy was still, paying. He was just pissed. And it wasn't like we did something crazy. It was just, no, you're going to buy this dude a meal and a drink properly. If you're going to feed us like that, you're going to feed him the same. And so we walked on, and then Ensign was going to use some of the money to get the homeless guy a proper pair of clothes and some shoes. And while they're picking out clothes, the dude's picking out what Ensign's trying to get him like, you like this, you like this. The other guy's like, no, he wants this, like just very imposing. He wants this. And it's like, man. So finally we get the homeless guy sorted. We leave. He's like, I can't go any further. This is kind of, I can't just be a wandering bum. I can't go to a different town. Like I only know this town. And so we leave him, but the other guy still walks with us. And he keeps leaving, coming back. He'll be on the phone arguing, like leaving, like just real weird. Like, dude, this guy's so strange. And then at one point while we're at a bus stop, we're trying to figure out, we're going to sleep here? Like, how are we going to sleep at this place? The dude comes up and just tries to take Ensign's cart and just starts to steer it off. And so Ensign doesn't even hit the guy, like uses the back of his hand and grabs the cart and like separates them. Like, hey, no, like what are you doing? Like the guy was about to push the cart down a flight of stairs. Just weirdo. Like what's going on? So that guy collapses and just calls the cops and now says that Ensign has just been beating him up and all this other stuff. And so it's like, oh my God, this guy is now just out to get Ensign because he's popular. Like they'll do this kind of shit. And so we wait. All kinds of police show up because it's Ensign. So, and that'd be the thing. They want to get him. That would be a huge score. Of like, and luckily when we get to the police station, you can tell from the chief's ears, he's done something. His ears are all collied out and ends up being super cool. They talk to us by ourselves. They have us. It's so funny. They ask us to write out a statement in English. None of them could read English. They all like, what? Like, can you read it? They're like, nope. I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to write a story as it goes. Like, I'm not real worried about my handwriting. I'm not getting in, I'm just going to give you it wasn't serious. And so, and they said when they talked to the other guy, they said that dude's story changed so many times in the first 5 minutes, like they knew he was crazy. Something's off with that dude. They just immediately, and then it was nice. The police, even though it took us a few hours to get that all sorted out, they took us. Like what happened is when they picked us up from the police station, they drove backwards the way we had already walked, like 20 miles. And we're like, no, we already walked all that. Like that was like 2-3 days of walking. Yeah. And luckily we got to the police station. We told them what we were doing. They're like, oh, like, do you need us to bring you back? And we're like, yes. And so they brought us all back to the same spot, dropped us off. And it was always pleasant, but it was just, we had some along the way, but that was. Yeah, but I mean, so we had everything to deal with, but that was pretty much how it would go the whole time. Like it would just be running into people. They, give us some, either give us food or take us to eat or take us to a hotel or just come and walk. Some people just wanted to walk. We had businessmen. This one dude came twice. First time he walked in his business shoes, you could tell he didn't like that. Next time he had to switched out his shoes and just cruised. He walked a good time. So it was really cool to, I couldn't really talk to too many people, but at least you could still get the idea of what was going on.
Spiritual cleansing, huh? It was for a cause, but for
totally, like you could, you know what I mean? Like, even essence, I wouldn't say that one was like I wouldn't say spiritually cleansing in essence. I would say it was, for me at that time, it was a great distraction. It was really good at just keeping me in good spirits and not focusing on my own issues and troubles. So, but I don't say there was any real healing from that one. It was more just distracting, like, and in good, positive distractions, meeting good people, wasn't anything, but it didn't get I needed to be by myself in essence to start sorting myself out. Like, I can't have interaction because I'll keep, I'm not going to be all bummed out around you. I'm going to put on a happy face and we're going to have a good time. You're not going to see that the inside is, is crying or hurt or anything. So I need to be by myself for that one.
Man, I tell that story, I don't know all the details and everything, but just what happened to you. Like, you had, I think it's every man's like worst nightmare. Like, you think somebody's your son, but it's like, it's not your son in a way. Like, it's like, it's, I can't even imagine, right? But it's just, yeah, that when you shared your story, I think it was on social media back when that happened, of raising your, your I don't know, your son, but you thought it was your own blood, and it ended up not being like your own blood son, right? Do you want to talk about that?
That's basically that's it in a nutshell. I was raising a little man in belief that was my kid. You know what I mean? Like, I was there from the moment her belly grew to the moment I felt every kick. I was there for every hospital visit. I saw, I didn't miss a beat. I was very amped. It was like, what I kind of felt is like, like as a kid, we don't think, as boys, we don't think about our wedding or anything like that. But by a certain age, like, man, by 30, and I'm probably like 18, 19, I'm like, by 30, I'm going to be married. I'm going to have a kid. I'm going to have my jiu-jitsu. I'm going to have, a house. I'm going to have, I know where I want to be in life by 30 years old. And I did it. You know what I mean? I had it was everything. I had the gym on the North Shore. I had a house here. I had 2 cars. It was like everything was perfect. Just how I was imagining it. And then all of a sudden to just realize, to get get that information and find that switch. But it wasn't just like, okay, like, now this is the truth. How do we process it? What do we do? It was everything switched. Like, it was the moment that, like, in essence, the moment the cat was out of the bag, I was the easiest part to remove. It wasn't a matter of whether I wanted to still be his dad or not. You're not going to be. You don't get to see him anymore. Like, you're out of the picture. I was actually at the courthouse during one of the first initial meetings, and I remember I asked the lawyer, I was like, is there any reason I need to be here? Like, I don't have any say, right? She's like, yeah, I'm sorry, you really don't need to be here. And so it's like, all right, well, I'm out. And then it was, like I said, it wasn't a matter of like, do you still want to, I would have, if that was the option, I still would have totally been dad. I don't care what position I'm in. Like, that's my boy. I don't care what you want to call him now, but it seemed like if I tried to keep myself involved, I wasn't going to be, and I'm only going to cause issues for him. Like, I felt that he was still, because he's almost 3. So I'm feel like he probably ain't going to remember this. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be his first memories. Like, and I don't want to be his first memories to be him being driven, like, dragged through some kind of a headache of like, who's dad and who's, so it was like, to me, the moment I actually learned it, something told me you're not going to see him no more. Like, it was like, I already knew it from the moment that I, learned it, that like, it wasn't, I was hopeful. I still tried, but it was like something, your gut, you don't want to listen to it. You hope it's wrong, but it wasn't. And yeah, it's still something that, it's definitely not ever gone by any means. The thing is, I think, we had a discussion, and I was talking with a friend in Japan, and the hard part is there's just no closure. It's not like he died. He's still here. I still see him running around every once in a while. You know what I mean? But just for me, it just it ended for me. So it's like I didn't, like I said, I don't have a closure on it. It's just like, part of me thinks like there might be a time where he comes back. I'm not going to push for it. In what sense? Don't even know. But it's just, like it took a little bit, man, I would say years. It's taken, I would say the better part of 5 years of, trying to get my life back to normal to where I could operate and just sleep, function, just, be back to normal where I could, just like I said, have that thought process that's not always hung up, you know, like get back to, you know, in essence, not forget them, but can I wake up and not think about that? Can I just go right into like, hey, what's for breakfast? Or, you know what I mean? Whatever the next thought is. So, and like, it took a while to reach those moments. And then it's not like it's, you know, like I said, that some days are, or it's not often, but some days are not, you know, they're not fun, but it's definitely, it just changed how I look at a lot of things. You know what I mean? I think, you know, I'm definitely much different of a person than I am, you know, coming out of that, but not in a jaded way by any means. Just more, I think I just have a more understanding and of an outlook on life. You know what I mean? Like, I don't put too much expectations. You know, I can only focus really on the now. You know what I mean? The future can only be planned out or best prepared for. You know, the past is what it was, and you can only learn from it. And so I can only do the right things right now to ensure that at least whatever happens in the future is, you know, as best it can be, at least from my end. So, you know, and that's just been the point I've been trying to get back to, or just get to.
How did you deal with it initially? How did you deal with it? What were the?
Oh, I mean, I'm not to be like, I'm not a sad person. So, I mean, of course, I was just inside. I was distraught. Like, I mean, in essence, I don't know, maybe a better part of a year of crying every day. Like, you know, that never went away. That took a long time to go away. I mean, even talking about it now, like, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I can feel myself get a little welled up, but it would just be like, you couldn't eat, couldn't sleep because, you know, like, do you have kids?
I have 3.
So, I mean, you know, that feeling of when your kid's next to you, and then, you know, I'd wake up 2-3 times in the night, you know, reach for him, and it's like, no, he's not there. And because it was very abrupt, it was like his bedroom was still right next to the master bedroom. His toys, his clothes, just how he left them, just the way he played that last day was, you know, and it took a long time to, at one point, finally close the door, and then at one point to finally go in and just start getting rid of things, you know. And I donated a lot of stuff, you know, not just tossing shit out by any means, but it was just, you know, it took a little bit to. I think part of it was needing to get out of that, you know, the common, like, in essence, like, Hawaii's not going to make me not want to be here because of what happened. The house at the time was too much of a reminder, but I was able to go back to the house later and it was no problem. You know what I mean? It's like many families have been through here. You know what I mean? It's no different. I mean, I'm not going to be the last. Somebody else is going to come into this house after I leave it. And so it's, you know, I just was able to get to the point where it wasn't, you know, hesitant about being in those, you know, the same spot. But I did have to get out of it for a while. I did definitely need to leave it and get a different, you know, just can't go through the same. I needed to revamp how I was doing every day, you know, how I spend my time, where I spend it. Uh-oh, still there? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Sorry, I think my phone just said it was it had popped up, it was on the battery.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah, just when I think of my kids, you know, that how you bond and, you know, and sleeping with them, they're waking up in the middle of the night, and then just to have that happen, it's like I can't even imagine that, you know. And like you said, there's no closure, you know. So how do you move on? And that's why I think I was really following you for a while there, you know. I felt like I was following all you and Edson, like walking through Japan, you know, at those times, you know. And yeah, I was really never sent you a message. I don't know if it was before Facebook, or I think it was Facebook, because that's where I was following you, you know. But yeah, man, it was that was crazy, man. One of the craziest things.
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't a fun. You know, even in that whole healing process. You know what I mean? I went through my dark times too, and, like, you know, lost friends in the process. Just, you know, trying to fill that void with anything that could be filled with, and, you know, negativity. You know, just there was, you know, went through. You know, asking how I took it. There was a long time after that where it was a big F you to everybody, and not in that sense like to just the world, but how I viewed, like, women in general. It's just very an FU attitude. Like, I'll be as nice to you as you are to me, but I know your depth. You know what I mean? In my mind, like, I just put everybody on that level. Like, you're all evil. Like,
yeah.
And that wasn't right, but it was just where I was at the time. And then I just, you know, I didn't care about, you know, I didn't really care how others felt about me or what I portrayed or anything, you know, just took myself out of who I really, you know, was, like, you know, just totally, you know, threw me for a loop. And it wasn't, you know, and it wasn't, it wasn't really until I would say just up until a few years ago where it started to fall back into place, where as far as like, my actions are going to, you have to figure out who you want to be, because eventually your everyday actions are going to determine what happens to you in the future. And I just didn't like, the route it was going. And I didn't like, it's like, I had to find my, get back to myself somehow. Then to be honest, I don't know what could have done it. I was trying everything from ayahuasca to the hike to everything, so I don't know. I can't tell you what would have done it. And it was like in my mind knew what the right answers were. It was just, can I follow through with the rest of my mind and the rest of my heart and everything else and do the thing, you know what I mean? Like, it's like I said, that gut feeling was there, the right answers, the things the things that were wrong, I knew were wrong, the things that were right, I feel them, but it was just being able to finally, I guess, get in tune and being able to not be so separated within myself.
Yeah. How do you recover from where you can trust somebody again?
Yeah.
Kind of a broken heart, broken situation.
Well, just on the, what I mean? Like that wasn't just me. You know what I mean? My great grandmother died thinking she had a great grandbaby. I mean, my mom lost a grandbaby. My dad lost a everybody, it affected my whole family. It was a very, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have like any malice towards her now. Like, I don't give to, like, if, you know what I mean? In essence, she's forgiven if that's what she needed. If that was what she needed to hear, man, you're forgiven. But what she did was pure evil. You know what I mean? Like, I'll never, you know what I mean? Like, that was beyond just me. I would have felt better if it was just me you hurt. That would be acceptable. But no, you hurt my whole family across the board. And like, you know what I mean? It makes me second guess like how I want to pursue, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not against kids, but I'm definitely not as for it as I was. It's like, I'm totally down for it, but it's like I'll take my time. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't need to be an age like I tried to do before. You know what I mean? Like, there's no time frame on anything. Let things unfold naturally and be, and that was kind of the reason too. Cause like, I did ayahuasca 3 times before I did the pilgrimage and I had no effect. Like, it was, I was one of the few anomalies they ever come across who just, I didn't have an effect from it. And so I had a friend tell me too, she was like, maybe you should stop trying to force something that should come naturally. And so that was really stuck out. So that was when I did, that was really part of the hike was, keeping that in mind. And I mean, that was the beginning of taking the steps to the right area, I would say. But it wasn't like it was there and everything was onward and upward. It was just, all right, you've tapped into a new level, but now where are you going to take it? And I took it all over the fucking place.
Yeah. How has jiu-jitsu helped you in this process?
The one thing I love about jiu-jitsu is no matter how upset I am, like no matter what's going on in my mind, like if I try to teach in those moments, I can tell I'm distracted. But when I try to roll with someone, man, it's like my mind goes blank and we're here. We're both in this moment. I don't have a care in the world. Like I love jiu-jitsu for that because it's like that. It brings me to that relax. Now it does, because I feel like I'm at such a level of jiu-jitsu knowledge and ability that I can really have a good match, and it's like therapeutic because I know where you're going to be and I know where I want to go, and you're not threatening. It's fun. It's because it's like, yes, they're threatening. They want to beat me up. It's they're trying to tap me, but I'm at a level now where I don't have to worry so much. Like, I understand where you're going to go. I know when I need to move to escape. And so like, just it really, for me, it just puts me in the moment like 100%. Like, I get like, there's no other outside influence, because as soon as the outside influence hits me, boom, you're submitted, or boom, they pass your guard. And it's like, granted those moments happen too, but as far as like when I'm just in that moment, it's, like, I don't know, I feel like invincible inside my own gym. I don't know if you have that same feeling, but you just, you know what I mean? Like, nobody, I don't care who walks through those doors, it's going to be a good roll. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not getting handed by no one. And most of the time it's probably just going to be fun, so, but that's, definitely what it does for me. And then, I think the more I try to be involved with other, get myself in that wanting to care about other people in that sense again. And as it slowly unfolds and I do start to give it, it's like, oh, it makes it so much nicer to teach, because you can see what it, I know what he likes to do. I know what she likes to do. And I can now work accordingly with you, because I'm just so much more here in that moment again. So it for me, it's like something that I can't do without. I can take little breaks from, but by no means can I you know, it's my therapy. I need it after, you know, every few days or I'm going to go crazy.
Yeah. So you running your school now. What's your favorite part of like teaching? You know, like what's a favorite moment of teaching when?
Now it's really just watching the progression. Like I'm at a point, like you know, I guess through every black belt has to go, you know, if you're a gym owner, but like, I don't know your gym personally, but how many black belts do you have in your gym, like during your classes?
We just had another 8 black belts. You know, this
Oh,
last portion. Yeah.
that is the cool part, getting these guys to black belt. I've just got like within my gym, there's like 4, but 2 show up consistently. You know, the other 2 kind of got their black belt and just moved on and did their thing. And, you know, they still come in randomly, but it's cool, especially when these black belts are someone they one of them is from white belt all the way to black, and then one was from blue to black, and it's like it's just that to me is my motivation now. It's like I would love, which I know I can't. Everybody's not going to stay and hang around, especially with military and a lot of transient community here. But it's just I love watching that evolution now. I love watching you get better, and it's like I can't wait to, you know, in essence, to reward you. I can't wait for you to be a black belt one day. And then I want you to, you know, when you go somewhere, I can't wait for, you know, like I had two young kids I've trained with. Well, one kid I think I can't remember his last name, Damien, and then you know the superstar kid Cole Abadi.
Yes.
So I trained with Cole for a little bit when I was in Texas. He trained at the gym I was at over there for a little bit, and man, just amazing, like full on, just wow for a kid. And it went from the point where he was like a kid to where like, man, you're kind of physically imposing, and I gotta. And his jujitsu is so good that it's like I really had to be on my P's and Q's. Like he ain't no regular kid, but he picked up a few habits that I have, and I guess he did it to the kid Damien, who also has rolled with me. And they're like, man, you had I could feel the Fowler feet, you know, like the same little hook that I would do. And it's like, yeah, like to me, that's cool. I like seeing the, like if I have an idea, like, hey man, this works for me. And then watching someone, oh, it works for you too. And you're kicking ass with it. Like, that's so cool. Like I enjoy watching that, you know, like I said, just the progression, the people, like, I like when people have when you say you have that, you teach them something. It's like, dude, that was awesome. And so it's like, yeah, exactly. Giving people those aha moments so you can understand it like I do, at least.
Yeah, man, you went over like your fight history, you know, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, the world, traveling around the world, you know, your personal stuff, your pilgrimages. You know, what's
I did an MMA fight 2 years ago too.
You did one?
I did one more. I did a third fight in 2017 purely because it's like, all right, I've been training for 16 years since that fight. Like I've been training longer than that, but since my last fight, I've been training for like 17 years now, or at the time 16. You know, I don't want to be out with my girlfriend one day and find out that I can't take a punch or I can't fight. Like I need to know right now if I can fight. And plus I was helping Christian Lee, you know, from ONE FC. I was helping him train.
Yeah.
And I think I'd helped him train for his third fight. And I told his dad, like, dude, I need to fight. I was like, I'm not going to be in this kind of shape ever again. I'm already done 3 fight camps and I haven't gotten no fight. Like, you know, it's like, I'm ready. And so he got me got me ready for it. I told him, I don't have a desire to have a career in this. I just want to see if I can take a punch and can I win a fight? Yeah. And I did. And I was like, all right, that's good. I'm done. I'm out of it. I don't want to do it no more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just gonna ask you, like, what, you know, anything's possible. What would you like to see in your life in 5 years?
To be honest, I would like, this is a quick little, you know, side thing. I have a blood disorder called thalassemia. And granted, it doesn't bother me too much during the day, but it's definitely affected my competition as far as like, I don't have good oxygen going through my red blood cells. My red blood cells are not properly shaped and they don't connect. When my blood starts pumping, they can't flow. The oxygen doesn't flow. And so after this house is built, one of the goals I would like to do is get a hyperbaric chamber. They're about 10 grand. Yeah. And take another, just not like a major run at competition. Like, I'm going to go be a world champion again, or, you know, do any of these, you know, crazy things I say again, but just go take those runs again. But I would like to feel, because I've been in one before. And have you ever been in a hyperbaric before?
Yes. Yes.
Now, I don't know how you feel, because if you have regular blood and then get into it, I imagine you feel better. I felt like Superman. I have never felt that fantastic in my life. And it lasted for 2 days, and it was just incredible. I was like, if this is what steroids are like, gimme. Like I know, this is awesome. And so I would like to feel that good, get my body in like a shape, you know, like I'm still in fantastic shape, I feel, but all I'm missing as I get older, I feel is that thalassemia just doesn't allow me to push. Like I really feel like you don't get tired, but imagine when you grab, you get like 20% of what it feels really weak. And the match that made me realize that I had to go to the doctor was with Lucas Lepre. I had a horrible match, and it bothered me so bad that I gave such a bad representation of myself in that match, but it wasn't my fault. The thalassemia hit me within like a minute, and he was going for a choke, and I remember telling my hand to go to my neck, and I just watched it shake, and it wouldn't move, and it just freaked me out, and I was like, nope, I got to figure this out. And so I would like to do that would be one thing I would like to do before I get, you know, I would say before even 40, like that would be nice in the next 2 years. But that would be it. It'd be to have my house finished being built. Of course, that's too much time. That needs to be done in the next year as well. But really just battery saying low again. But really just being you know, progressively healthy with you know, longevity in mind with my jiu-jitsu. Don't do stupid things. You don't need to try to, you know, twist this way or explode in these ways. Like think of, you know, if somebody starts to stack me, let go of the triangle. You know, just think of long term. Like don't hurt yourself. Like you want to do this for the long run. And, you know, I'm hoping in 5 years you see me, I look better than I do now. I want to be in better shape. I want to, you know, and who knows? I would like to, let's see, in 5 years. Oh man. I would say by that point, I need to be like, I want to be investing in land in some other places. Like that would be the real, that's really been within that time frame is just, you know, getting myself set up for my second half of my life. Like I want to accomplish all this by 40 in essence, but like, that's not where we stop. You know, that's the beginning of being an adult, I feel.
Nice, man. Nice. I got to show you, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis for every 5 years they make you do a brain MRI, and they found like these lesions in my brain. Scotty from On the Mat, you know, and Ed Clay, they have a hospital in Tijuana. Have you ever gone there?
No, I actually just talked to Scotty the other day about it though. I want to get there whenever Cali's not so crazy and locked down.
Yeah. But yeah, for sure, take advantage. Have you seen those hyperbaric chambers, like the portable ones?
Yes,
that NBA players use.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I was just curious about that, you know, because I did a couple of times the hyperbaric chambers. Like I got claustrophobic because
yeah.
You know, but yeah, man, like sounds great, man. On all your congratulations on all the stuff you've accomplished. You know, you've been inspiration and you know, just even you dealing with, you know, your personal stuff that you shared with us today, me today. You know, it's just to have to deal with that and keep moving forward, you know, putting one foot in front of the other. You know, it's super inspirational, man. You know, really, you're a warrior, you know, on all fronts, you know. So thank you, man. Thank you for your example. And I hope I was gonna tell you is I've been doing this thing called TAC Fit. We use like club bells and different like training things, you know, talking about staying healthy. And because I had MS, that was my point, is that I couldn't put my seatbelt on. I was so stiff, my mobility and stuff, you know. So it's really helped me, you know. So I'll message you, you know, privately, you know, to
we'll get out here. We'll put you through some nice stretches, or get the Hawaiian weather to loosen you up, and you'll have a good time.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you for I was gonna show you the club bells and some of the movement stuff that I've been doing with the system called TAC Fit. That's what I was. It's kind of breaking up, yeah. But yeah, for sure. I look forward to visiting you one day out there. You know, beautiful Hawaii.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. We'll set it up.
And hopefully, when you come out here, man, I'd love to have you at the gym. You know.
Yes, sir. As soon as Cali's open up, we're coming.
Yeah, good, man. Good. Right on, brother. Thank you, man. All the best to you. And talk to you soon. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.